Okay. Cool. Are we rolling left and right? Sick. Should I do the clap thing? Does that help with video editing later?
I think it would feel cool.
Yes. Sorry.
Wanted to see if we did it in time.
Yeah, so we are recording today, both the audio and the visuals. I think we'll probably keep it on for the Q&A later as well. But yeah, just FYI. Yeah, this is the visual zone, so if you don't want to be on the video forevermore, don't walk into the visual zone. Cool. Welcome both, and welcome everyone else. Thanks for coming down this evening. I am Jack. I am the director of Tonetic CIC and a practitioner within Tonetic Records. We are a non-profit artist development program and record label based in Margate. And today we're working with Canterbury Christchurch University. Thank you, Dan Garber, for inviting us down. And today I am joined by Kim and I'm joined by Dan. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves very quickly?
Thanks so much, Jack. Thanks for having us here. I'm Dan Garber. I run a small management company called Tape Music Company Limited, and we manage a small roster of artists, producers, mastering engineers, mix engineers, and I also do consultancy sessions and mentoring for a wide range of people as well. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, working in a vast array of areas, which I'm sure we're going to, so I won't list them now. But yeah, that's me, and I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a singer-songwriter and producer and music publisher. I perform under the artist name LANTA, and I do some co-writing with some other artists. Sort of a mixture of some more electronic dancey stuff and some quite like indie singer-songwritery stuff. And I also dabble in making music for TV and advertising.
Amazing. Thank you both so much. I did forget to do some housekeeping, as people always do. Fire exits over there, so if there is a case of a fire, we're out that door, aren't we, Dan?
Yeah, both sides.
Yeah, both sides. Yeah, this guy and that one out there, just depending on which one you're closer to. Toilets are out there too. And you can feel free to get up and walk around if your legs are getting tired or if your brain's getting tired. There's also refreshments over there, I'm sure you saw. Feel free to grab anything. Cool. I'm going to crack this wide open. So, in brief, can you both, whoever wants to jump on it first, sort of talk me through your sort of journey from where you started to now? So that might be like, you know, this is when I realised music was my thing and I had to do it. It can be that sort of story. Or it can just be any sort of incident, not even music related, that you feel like led you to here and what you do now.
Can I do it in that voice?
Yeah, it would be really annoying. I think it was quite annoying just for the 2 seconds that I did
loved it.
Yeah, and now it's on recording.
Shall I go?
That briefly.
I started out my creative journey feeling a little bit torn between music and theatre, and so I studied both, and it sort of got to a point in my education where I had to pick a major as such, and for some reason I think I want to get loads of tattoos, so I probably am not going to be an actress. That was literally part of my reasoning, and then I just thought I should dedicate myself to learning an instrument. I mean, I'm a vocalist, but I wanted to be able to accompany myself, so I really decided to apply myself to music in college. When I left college, I did a series of other jobs to support making music independently, but very much had a period of just copying other artists, which is what you kind of do when you're like 17 and you're desperate to find your sound, but you kind of have to borrow from others for a while until you sort of find your voice as such. And I think that didn't really happen to me until I was probably in my mid-20s. I released a small EP independently, but very weirdly ended up going to the head of Radio 1 at the time, literally through someone I went to school with, like stepsister sent it there, and off the back of that I got some support, music industry support, which led to me signing a major record label deal and a major publishing deal, which at the age of 25 I thought I was really late. I thought, oh, I'm so old, which makes me laugh out loud now. But I basically had 5 years of experiencing that sort of big corporate machine, and like navigating, being a very sensitive creative in that dynamic. I experienced the like great, wonderful excitement of it, and I also experienced the confusion and anxiety that comes with that, and slight, the power dynamics between creatives and working for big corporations like that, and having your finances so tied up in that. So I've seen a lot of like the indie world and a lot of the major world, and got a good perspective on that. And then sort of decided to step away from being an artist for a while and focus on songwriting, which is when I got into music publishing, as well as being the songwriter. So I have, and working in music publishing also opened me up to the world of sync as well, which has been quite interesting. So yeah, my journey has been artist, going a bit more songwritery, and now I'm returning back to doing my artist stuff full time right now. Almost 40. So just thought I'd give you a whole age timeline there.
That's great. I like that. What? I've got to follow that. Okay. Funnily enough, I was rummaging through some old kind of books and papers and stuff like that I found that had to clear out. And one of the books was from school, primary school, and the question at the top of the page was, "What do you want to be when you're older?" And I went into a long kind of essay about what I wanted to do, but the crux of it was Monday to Friday I wanted to act in plays at the theatre, and then Saturday night I wanted to play in a band. No, sorry, Saturday was play for Arsenal, and then Saturday night was play in a band, and Sunday was, I think, do a chilled DJ set somewhere. So yeah, that was my plan, and it didn't quite work out like that, but
close.
It was close. But yeah, music from a young age has always been important to me. It's been a way that I related with, I suppose, my dad and my uncle and my granddad and people who were older than me, and people who I kind of connected with. Yeah, the people that I connected with at school, I suppose, it was kind of mainly through music at the start. That's how you kind of built your friendships up. So it's like I saw it as a real social kind of thing, really important kind of thing to define who you were, I suppose, put a kind of label on it. And I played in bands, and then I kind of realised very quickly that I was not at the level of other people who I was lucky enough to know who were very, very talented. But I knew a lot of people who were kind of writing music and producing music and kind of releasing music and playing gigs. And they always told me kind of what upset them about the industry and stuff like that. And one day I was in a bar and talking about a friend who had to pay to play, in a gig, and how it was kind of really hard to get started and all this stuff. Anyway, the barman overheard me, the landlord, and said, "If you put gigs on here, I won't charge you for it. The bands will get paid and everything like that." I was like, "Well, I'll give it a go." Put an all-day party on with like all the bands that I knew. Made a load of money for them, made some money for myself. I was like, fuck, is this a job? So I just kind of went into that and kind of looked actively into promoting and putting gigs on, built that up slowly, did lots of kind of things, and kind of went into venue kind of managing and venue booking, club booking. That kind of lent me on to kind of working with media partnerships and sponsorships, so brands and everything like that. And that built me on to kind of working with brands and marketing, and the artists that we were finding led me on to kind of scouting for labels and publishers, and kind of also setting up a label, which then turned into my management company. And that's kind of the path that I've been going on with other things in there as well, like distribution and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, my whole kind of career journey has been just like organic, and just I'm falling into this. I find myself in a bar talking about something and get a job from that, and then it's just been a beautiful journey. And me and Kim have been kind of working together for a little bit, and this is starting a new journey just now as well, like the past few weeks. So like this journey is not kind of, it's not, I haven't found my proper path yet. Do you know what I mean? The path is continuous and going off this way and that way. So yeah.
Amazing, thank you, Dan. So already sort of getting a sense that like music careers tend to be like an explosion of lots of different stuff.
It
Like
can
music
be.
pathways. Well, it can be.
It can be, yeah. Yeah, we were talking about someone that I know who has managed to keep the same roles in their career for like 10, 50, which I think is like, you know, there's a few people out there that are steady. They're like, that's what they do. But like, I think a lot of people, yeah.
What sort of roles do those tend to be, the sort of straight and narrow?
I don't know. They can be different. Like, I know people who have been managers or who've been A&Rs or have been like kind of working within sort of tech companies that do music stuff. Or I think if you are lucky enough to sort of find this role that you're happy to be within, and you've got a lovely team around you, and you can kind of progress as well, then well, that's the end of the talk. See you later.
Yeah, that's all the lights go down.
Yeah, I think, like as you were saying, there's so many different paths that you can go on. It depends on your mindset as well. Like we're both neurodivergent, and I think I presume that adds some spice to the fact that like we want to kind of change things up every now and again.
I
don't know.
I also think in the music industry, it's very different from in other job roles where there's that clear like ladder of like, you start as the trainee and then you're the assistant and then you're the. Like, I know you can do that in music industry senses, but I think a lot of people who get into the music industry to work on the business side have that real creative drive, and they kind of, I often see like my peers not want to be their boss. They're like, I like working with artists, I like working on making things happen, getting people in the room, blah blah. A lot of the time when you get to the top of the industry, you're like this figurehead that, you know, just doesn't really interact with creatives anymore. So I think a lot of people I know who bounce around from different roles because they didn't see their future sat in the corner office of some like building in South Kensington. They were like, I just want to stay where the music is. Yeah. They want to be close to the magic. So I think lots of people jump from like, take a lot of side steps to like, I just want to stay with creatives.
That's really interesting. I've been meeting a lot of managers recently who I really look up to, who are like at the peak of their careers, and they've been telling me stuff that they just focus on their strengths and they surround themselves with people who can back them up basically, and who they can delegate stuff to. It's interesting. It's very different to what I've done. I've done everything and anything, and been very eager to kind of learn different things and kind of build strengths. But like, then that sort of creates a like jack of all trades, master of none. Is better than a master of none.
That's the full
Is
thing.
that the thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit at the end that no one ever says.
Everyone misses out.
Yeah, it's like eat your cake and have it too. That's wrong. It's like have your cake and eat it. No, have your cake and eat it too. It's actually eat your cake and have it too.
Eat your cake
and have it too.
Whoa.
Yeah, because of course if you've got a cake, you're going to eat it. So the phrase doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
should we just talk about cake?
Yeah, let's just talk about idioms for the rest of this talk. Yeah, I guess it would be good to, Kim, you've already mentioned some of these, but like some personal milestones, I think particularly for you, Dan, where you've had kind of a portfolio career, it would be good to sort of like, where are some key milestones for you where you're like, that was good?
There's a venue in London called the Lexington, which I love that venue, and for a while, maybe still now, it was a space where if you play there and you sort of sell it out and it's full of A&Rs, you're at a really good point. And that was a point for me with an artist that I'm still working with, but in a different artist project. She did that and she sold it out, and we had all the A&Rs there and all the majors and all the indies, and it was just, I got a massive buzz from that. That was just like, fuck, we've done this bit. Like,
that was a big heist.
Yes, it was brilliant. But then there's like other kind of significant milestones, is kind of working on projects that have got to like number one or like kind of platinum selling records or Grammys or whatever it is. Like that for me is like beautiful, but it's not for me. Like, I didn't have massive roles in those kind of things. So I think the milestone for me is whenever the artists or producers, studio personnel that I work with can make a living from their art. That for me is like, fuck, that's success. And when I was able to kind of quit my other jobs and do management full time, that for me is like, yeah.
I love that. Cool, yeah. Kim, any milestones that you didn't already sort of mention? Or you can go into one that you've already mentioned, but just give one.
We could just talk about my milestones.
I'd love
how
to
impressive
just
they are. And
to wear you. I would say, yeah, I think being able to do music full time when I was 25 and I signed a deal, that was really exciting for me. I think I featured on a song that ended up I recorded a cover, like an acoustic cover of Robin S.'s Show Me Love, like in my like dad's spare room, and the vocal to that, like, it was all just one take, and I just whacked it on YouTube, and then somebody asked for the stems. It ended up being released as like a kind of big thing, and it ended up going platinum in the UK and reached number 4 in the charts. Yeah, and I'm still enjoying some money from that. So that was a big milestone for me. But I think a big milestone for me recently has been learning to enjoy creating it again without attaching it to so much like pressure from external means. I guess when your hobby becomes your job, then you have to work on your relationship with creativity a lot, and I think I'm really proud of where my relationship with creativity is at right now. It feels fun and playful and enjoyable again, so I'm kind of proud I've reached that point again.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
We did it, guys.
Yeah,
we did it.
Yeah, we made it. Yeah, and we're still making it.
Yeah.
Cool. I guess you've mentioned like loads of different job roles, and like my main thing in the music industry is that I find the amount of job roles completely dazzling, and I've like barely any clue on what most of them do. I have like a faint thing, but then sometimes one person says a job role and they mean something slightly different than someone else meant. Like with A&R, that can sometimes mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I guess just cracking into some of those roles, and maybe starting with what roles that you guys sort of majorly play in at the moment, one being publishing and the other being an artist manager.
Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot of misconceptions about both of those things and what they actually entail. I mean, Kim, do you want to talk about publishing, what that means?
Yeah, I think music publishing, obviously, like some people like gloss over it a little bit, or because it's, if you go into the minutiae of like the collections process, it's not that sexy. But do you know what is sexy? Getting paid what you own. So I always describe music publishing as like, music publishers are like the bailiffs of the music industry. So we're like, oi, this has been playing in Japan loads. Where's the money? We've got a spreadsheet here that says we should be making X, and we're not getting much through. So like, we kind of go out and find music that's like, money that's not coming through because someone spelled your name wrong or blah blah blah. But I love the life of a song. So me and Dan were just talking about this just now. In the record label sense, you have a campaign for a song after the first 3 weeks. Now it's like after the first 3 days of release. If it hasn't hit certain milestones, they're like, cool, that was a complete failure, let's move on to the next. Whereas in music publishing, like, the life of the song is endless. Like, we're just getting to like pitching it out for sync and stuff, and a song could be out for 3-4 years and not meet the I guess the standard metrics of a hit or whatever, but then it could just get the right placement in the right TV show at the right time, and then like boom, like the Kate Bush was a really good example of that. Not that it wasn't a massive hit before, but what I'm saying is it just can Kate who it could just stratospherically like raise the conscious like awareness of an amazing song again like that, which I think is really beautiful. So I think being involved in music publishing, half of the battle is helping songwriters understand why it's important to have a publisher, and to try and explain it quickly is not possible. But I think having the support of a publisher, not just relying on PRS, because you're not actually getting all of your you would need somebody who's proactively going out there and getting blocked income for you, and also taking care of like mechanical royalties and stuff. But I think the sexiest thing about music publishing is getting people to collaborate, and that's what I love. It's like being the person who always throws the house parties. You're like, oh my god, I can't wait for you to meet you. And like, yeah, so I love like meeting two creatives and being like, I think you'd like have a great like writing session together, or you might just have a great day together, talk about documentaries, books, blah blah, not write anything, and both respectively go off really inspired and write your own things. I think that's really powerful too. I don't see the result of a great writing session being like you wrote 2 songs, blah blah. I'm just like, if you like connected and sparked each other's like inspiration, that's amazing. And I think that's how we all re-energize each other and keep everyone going in this industry, is like feeding off of each other. So yeah, I love being a part of that creative like process to help facilitate other people's creativity as well.
Yeah, nice. So your publishing work, is that as a freelancer or as part of a larger organisation?
So yeah, I co-run an indie publishing company called Palm Bay Music, which has gone on like a really a long journey of starting out small. We got kind of too big for our boots. We like had a roster that was too big, and freaked out a little bit, if I'm honest. And now we've just pulled right back and been like, let's take stock. What do we actually want to do? But we've had some good success milestones with that. I actually had my first big sync, with an artist that Dan manages. So that was signed to Palm Bay Music, and yeah, we had a really nice sync.
For a different side of Kim. No, it was a brilliant side.
In the negotiations,
she was so
I switched from artist to
on it.
Here's the percentage split.
Yeah, this is what we should be getting. Like everything was worked out. Like we were working with big publishers and and a label, but like Kim was on it. It was brilliant.
I really needed the money then. I was on it because I was like, how much can we get out of this?
It was so pro. It was good.
Yeah, I think it's important as artists to know that we can show up in business spaces and hold our own. I think there's a lot of sometimes insecurities from artists being like, oh, is anyone going to think am I allowed to be doing this? Like you get imposter syndrome. But or if you're doing something industry wise, people think, oh, your music must not be going very well because you're having to do this, and you're like, I can't not want to be entrepreneurial. It's like it runs through my veins. So I'm just like, I always have ideas.
Do you think that's changing now? Do you think?
I think I think portfolio careers are much more widely recognised. I think it's the thing about being a woman as well.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people struggle to see you more than one thing, especially when you're a vocalist.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, you're just the singer, and you're like, I'm a publishing company, I produce songs, blah blah. You constantly have to tell people, remind people what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the reality of it.
I'm not going to say anymore.
No, it's all good. What about you? What do you think about?
The roles of a manager.
Yeah, I guess it would be for you. I guess it would be like a manager. What is a manager? There's a lot of misconceptions around managers.
I think because there is no one discipline or kind of thing around what a manager does. I think for every single artist, if we're just talking about artists, a manager's role will be different. It could be very focused on kind of A&R perhaps, and developing an artist and developing the sound and the brand of it, or it could be I'm going to really focus on kind of building an audience up and like how to manage and build an audience and kind of get the artist engaging with them, or it could be like I'm going to manage your business and I'm going to make sure that you, which is kind of my role, I'm going to make sure that you're making money so that you can like completely prioritize like your creativity rather than the business side of things. And I think your relationship with your manager is different, and you can look for, like, I know an artist that I've worked with previously who's had a few different managers, and one manager was so good at finding every last penny from every royalty statement or anything that there should be owed, whereas another one was really good at like live, and another one was like every single manager that he worked with brought another kind of thing element to it. I think the Music Managers Forum is a fantastic organisation, and they're working on sort of creating a sort of understanding of what roles managers should undertake, because I think I've noticed a lot over the past like 10-15 years, managers taking on a lot more, artists as well, artists and managers taking a lot more from like their labels that they're with, developing their own rights holders organisations or like companies, which I did with another client, doing kind of the live side instead of, because it can take a long time to get agents on board, or even
That's
promoters.
A booking agent. Right?
Yeah, booking agent, sorry. So I've seen like artists and managers take on a lot more of the roles, and I think the Music Managers Forum or the MMF are trying to define that, not only to protect the manager, but also for artists to really understand what they should be getting from a manager. So yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions because it's different for everyone, really.
Yeah, and also I think a lot of these things tend to happen on the back of what's the phrase? We're going through a lot of idioms today. What's going on? Back of the cigarette pack.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of the deal with lots of managers, which you hear a lot of horror stories from like the 90s or the 80s about like bad management deals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think sort of, so the MMF, which is something you should look up, even if you're looking for a manager, I believe they have a system for getting attached to managers.
Yes.
as
So
well.
they have a page on their website, which I'm sure you guys can share.
Yeah.
That is artists looking for managers, and I think you upload a SoundCloud link, and yeah, it works. People have picked up artists from there. It's challenging, but there's. I looked through it the other day actually, and there was some really good acts on there that I was like, they're not managed. Wow, like, so yeah, it's an interesting space.
Yeah, cool. Okay, great.
Can I just give a shout out to the Featured Artists Coalition as well, the FAC, who are a sister organisation to the MMF, and if you are an artist, I would recommend signing up to those as well.
Cool. I guess just one more question on this sort of theme. Where would you sort of place yourself in the grander scheme of things? You've mentioned in the music industry, you've already mentioned major and indie as a sort of stratification already. But yeah, I guess where do you see yourself operating at the moment in sort of wider context of sort of, I mean, it could be UK music, local music, international music. It might be for different roles, different things, which is fun and very confusing. But yeah, where would you sort of like understand yourself as operating in?
Could I be really nerdy and pull out my research?
Pull out your nerd sheet.
So about a year ago, I when I was thinking about getting back into being an artist, I just thought in any business, if you're launching a business, you would have some goals, like where do I see my business in 3 years, 5 years, etc. blah blah. And I think in music we have a habit of, obviously because it's a creative outlet, we just go like, I'm just going to put it out and see what happens, blah blah. But I was like, no, well, what are you actually, how do we measure if we're doing kind of what we want to do with our careers? I'm not just talking about creatively, like how do we measure if what we're doing with our careers aligns with our goals? So I was like, so where do I want to be? Where do I want to position myself? And so I basically did an audit of what I view, this is my personal view, of the different tiers of artists in the music industry. And I'm going to sort of read them off and
Awesome.
and see what. I'm very happy to hear what everyone thinks afterwards. You're like, I think that was really wrong. The first tier, I know people just think they go indie major. I don't think there's just two. So first on my list, I've got hobbyists, and maybe we could discuss this as we go. But so this is what I see as sort of like people who are doing like casual independent releases. So there's not like any real specific structure to them. They might have had some BBC introducing plays, but like sporadic low social media presence. And I would say predominantly family and friends as fan base. So like someone who's like not making a professional income from music. They may be making, and these are like some of the numbers hurt. So some of the numbers hurt. So I would say as a benchmark, making less than 5 to 10k a year from music. I would put on my benchmark as a hobbyist. Yeah, I know it's horrible. It's horrible. I know.
You have to call them hobbyists.
You could just
You have to call me a hobbyist.
shout me in the face.
You wouldn't call them like emerging.
I wouldn't.
Or would you say like if that was the first couple of years of their career, would they be emerging, or if they've been doing?
Is there nothing about like intention there? Like,
No,
sure.
I don't know.
Not
So
even.
basically, this is I don't know. This was me a year ago thinking this, right? But I would say
Is this you as a publisher? Is this like the stone cold?
it's both. It is a little bit actually, I guess, because we also started to have to think about what writers we wanted to work with and who they were working with, right? So like bear with me, and it's good to get that feedback because I can like
That's
look at
interesting.
the numbers, but basically it's like less than 5k monthly Spotify streams if you took it there, and between 500 to 5,000 followers on like Instagram or socials, blah blah. Then we've got early career, which I guess could be called emerging.
Yeah.
So consistent independent releases, BBC introducing support, like maybe you've been invited on for a live session, blah blah. Like it's more than just random sporadic plays. Development of a strong social media presence, consistent posting, and like a high fan engagement. Starting to do headline shows. Let me know if I'm going in too deep.
No.
Doing support slots of artists that are like have the capacity of around 300 capacity, 2 to 300.
Okay.
So, but you're the support artist.
Yeah.
Maybe you've gone past the 5,000 monthly streams, blah blah, on Spotify. So maybe you're more like, basically under like 30,000, I guess. And then this is where the income is. You're kind of, I guess, at 10k plus, really, 10 to 20, which actually isn't as impossible to reach, which is my learning. So that's why I can go more into that. Then I've got established indie or major imprint or independent career, and here's some examples here of people. So basically consistent releases that viral social media moments, support from like BBC Radio 1, 2, 6 Music, strategic collaborations with like independent like mid-level artists. So they're doing like really strategic collaborations and stuff, and they're doing headline shows that are probably I guess around 2,000.
So is this at this point this is my job? Like
I would
What's
say
it called?
this is like established indie
Okay, cool.
or major imprint. Because I think early career you could still be like, hey, I'm making some good dollar here, but is it enough to risk it all?
Yeah.
But by this point you're like, hey, I've got some kind of contractual agreements and obligations to release music. I've got partnerships, like really strong partnerships. And then the next tier above that is breakthrough artist career. So this is when you're starting to get like tastemaker support. So maybe you've been like Mercury Award nominated. So you're kind of a darling of The Guardian. It kind of I'm trying to like skim through everything, but basically like, maybe you've been mentioned on the BBC Future Sounds list. Or equivalent. You've maybe done a BBC Introducing Radio 1 live lounge, just when we're talking about the Pink Pantheress.
A few years ago, maybe.
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah, sorry, I did this like maybe
Last
a year
year.
and a half ago. Yeah, but
So like Ezra Collective.
Yeah.
something like that.
And then after that, mid-level success career. So this is people who kind of we would perceive have made it as such, but they're not sort of stratospherically established as some other artists. So in this tier, you've got like international expansion. So they're not just big here; they're also very well known across like Europe and other markets like Australia, for example. Blah blah. Because some people who are massive here, we don't perceive that they're actually not that well known internationally. So I think that's quite a big distinction. And you've got like appearances on Late with Jules Holland here, major music festival lineups. But I think the main distinction here is with the one tier is global stardom, is when you've won multiple major awards like Brit Awards, Grammys, MTV Awards. You're doing high profile sync or maybe like brand partnerships.
Sorry, just quickly, sync.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, sync. So this is synchronization, syncing music with TV, films, gaming, podcasts. What am I missing? Adverts, yeah, of course. That's like the main way I make
That's
money.
where the money's at.
Yeah, ads.
It can be.
It can be, yeah. But I think with the main thing with sync is it's all about having a great song. I've tried to make music for sync, and it just sync works when a music supervisor comes across a great song and has the right scene or ad for that specific thing. So I think when everyone's like, how do I make a song that's syncable? I'm just like, just make great songs and one
Just
day
be good.
it may just happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to quickly fly through this then. You've got artist careers who are, you know, household names, doing like incredibly well. Headline shows, Brixton Academy, Hammersmith Apollo, etc. So there's that. I know, but mid-level sounds like, whoa, but you'll know why I said mid now, because we get to the next one, global stardom. So this is like your Dua Lipas, your Harry Styles, your Stormzy's. They're like supporting artists in major stadiums and stuff. Has Billie Eilish done stadiums yet? Like big stadiums? Yeah, okay, so this is a bit out of date now. But they're not quite future legacy status yet, who I would say is Adele, Coldplay, Ed Sheeran. So they're basically going to be the Elton Johns, the Rolling Stones, the Oasis, the Who of our time. But they're not quite there yet. That comes with time. So I wouldn't say like Dua Lipa is legacy status just yet, but probably will be. Who knows? So those are my tiers: global stardom, then future legacy status, and then current legacy status. As I said, basically doing like massive stadium shows, residencies in Las Vegas. Like they've headlined the Pyramid Stage multiple times. Blah
Everyone's
blah.
sad when they die.
And we'll go into National Mourning when they die.
Yeah.
They're doing Lifetime Achievement Awards, like Brit Icon Awards, etc. They're writing biographies about their lives. So like, Ed Sheeran and Coldplay and Adele aren't quite there yet, but I'm sure they will be. So those are my more than 2 tiers of the music industry, which are all up for debate and discussion. So
we're going to take a comfort break like now, but just before we do that, in that large hierarchy of things, where are you?
Oh, good question. Lower down than I want to be. I straddle. That's a weird word to say. I straddle between early career and established indie label, major imprint. Even though I'm independent, but my income and my past achievements fall into those 2 categories. But if you looked at all my metrics now, you'd be like hobbyist. As an artist, if you looked at my metrics, But if you look at my achievements, it fits into early career / established indie.
Well, I think that's interesting, just because you can go back and forth.
Of course, it's not always an accelerator. You can decelerate.
Yeah. You want to know mine?
I want to know.
I don't really see how a manager can fit into that, because it's more about the artist.
I guess maybe the artist that you work with.
Yeah, but then again, it falls into I think probably a similar category to you. I think some of the accolades and awards and kind of financial stability and stuff like that is probably higher up, but then you look at the metrics, I think it's really challenging right now for a lot of artists that are doing it themselves. But they're not. Then some people are just like storming it. They're just like that's their thing. So I don't know. I'm finding it really hard to position myself in the MMF. Again, talk about fantastic people there. They're creating a 3-tier system. So I think it's kind of new, emerging, and pro, or something like that, or emerging, mid, and pro. They've just announced it, and I have been put based on their criteria in the pro section. But then I'm in company of people who are managing like some of the acts that you're saying are global superstars, right? So it's weird that I'm in that category, but I'm.
It's like when a local team gets too big and they're playing with the big boys, and they get knocked out of that. They get relegated real fast.
There you go. Exactly. Oh, don't say that.
Sorry, you're not going to get relegated. You're fine.
I'm gonna be good, please.
You're like Gillingham FC right now. Cool. Okay, so that actually brought up, I guess, we're going to take a quick break, but like it's a sort of a pantomime. We're going to ask a big question. A lightning flash is going to happen. We're going to go on break, and then we're going to come back and answer it.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh no, we're not.
So you work with just abscond. Goodbye. The question was going to be basically. So you actually mentioned that your artist was quite small, and that there's like sort of not a lot of money there. So as a manager, that's your job. Where does the money come from then? how do you like sort of say like, well, I am going to do that, I'm going to invest in that, but we'll go on break.
Okay.
And we'll find out when we come back.
Stay
we
tuned.
get blown off by wind. Costume change. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, jazz. Cool. Okay, welcome back after that short break. Before the break, I asked Dan, because this talk is about how music makes money. You mentioned that your artists actually that you manage, so that you look after and support, are actually quite small. Small.
I mean,
some of them.
I'm currently only managing 2 artists. One of them doesn't even call themselves an artist, so we won't look at their career. The other artists, it depends how we look at it, like in terms of metrics and small. Like Kim's just bought like 12 tier system or something.
I think it was 6.
6 tier. I don't know, like the metrics, like she's got like 600 to 700,000 monthly listeners. She's gold disc in a thing. She's won awards, but in terms of gigs and kind of the level of gigs, she supported massive artists like Fatboy Slim and loads of other people that have gone out of my head. But
she's I'm assuming. Are we allowed to say names?
Yeah. Laura,
it's
LAU.RA, yeah. So like it depends like how you like 40,000 followers on Instagram. She's like had some sort of like little viral successes on TikTok. Like I don't know. It's like you were saying in the break. It's like I don't know if it's helpful to think that that's big or not big. It's helpful for me as a manager, and I presume as an artist as well, to just think, I want to improve on that. I want to increase these metrics. But also, I have a thing of moving the vision away from metrics. Because they're changing all the time. We're seeing massive difference, especially in Spotify, in the number of plays of things. Spotify are kind of putting AI and kind of other way produced songs into big playlists that are kind of taking up lots of plays. It's harder for artists to kind of let their fans know about new songs and new releases. So I think the metrics that we're seeing, that we can visibly see on social media, as well as streaming services, are reducing. So like social media, like you need to pay to kind of get those big views and engagements. So yeah, I don't know about like the big and small.
Yeah.
I think the conversation that we're having is about making money in music.
Yeah.
And that's like the interesting bit when it comes to Laura, for instance, because we've been working together for over a decade in various different kind of projects that she has. But for majority of that time, very early on, luckily in her career, she's made a living, and she was able and that living, that like her earnings have been going up every year, and they're still continuing to go. And she's like, we just did the accounts for the first 3 quarters, which we haven't even got to the end because we're getting lots of royalty statements in, which I think we'll talk about a little bit now. And she's already looking to better what she did last year again, and last year was the best year. And like it's just, I don't know, in terms of small and large and household name, I don't know. I don't really know how to kind of put a thing on it.
Just to contrast everything I said, I think if you're paying your bills for music, you're successful.
Yeah, but there's a difference between success and those kind of tiers.
There are, but the tiers are helpful.
Sorry, for context, we went through a large linear list before the break that was like levels of artist that sort of went from
hobbyist,
not even amateur.
Yeah,
amateur. It was hobbyist up to
like current legacy.
Yeah,
so,
legacy
blah,
artists.
blah.
Yeah.
But I think those tiers, if you're thinking of getting into music and you're like, I just want to see where this goes, blah blah. Like obviously, like looking at dissecting the music industry like that isn't the most constructive thing to do. But if you've reached a certain point in your career and you've gone, I want to know where I'm at, and I want to know what it will take to get me to the next level. I think looking at the tiers like that is helpful because, one, it lets you know where you're at in terms of, sometimes we can always think it's never enough, but actually if you look like that, you can actually I've come so much further than I thought. And when you achieve a certain thing, you're like, cool, I'm moving up. Lots of time in the creative industries, we think nothing's ever good enough. We're not going anywhere. And actually, sometimes having a little bit of a tier system thing can, show you actually all the milestones you are actually hitting. So I think it can be quite good to have a structure to self-reflect on.
Sure.
I do think if you're managing to pay your bills from what you do creatively, you're winning regardless of like what tier Kim's put you in her weird TED talk.
Sure.
We've Laura and I started a community called Wonk, which we run a monthly club night and A&R sessions and panel talks and stuff like that. And it's really interesting hearing the artists and producers and DJs within that community. And everyone's kind of looking at everyone else going, oh, you're getting all these gigs. And that person with all the gigs is going, yeah, but you're getting all these syncs. And that person's going, yeah, but you're getting all these streams. And that person's going, yeah, but you're getting these radio plays. And yeah, but you're selling all... Like, everyone's got something different. And this kind of goes on to your point. Like, everyone's making money from different things, or they're having success in different areas. And I think perhaps what increases your kind of level of the of your chart is having more of those things, or is it just being really good at one of those things, or what?
I think having a lot of one thing leads to radio play combined with big tours leads to awards, like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it kind of, I think it all has a bit of a snowballing effect, but I think it's, I don't want to get obsessed with this whole tier thing that I've introduced. But
I've got a helpful thing. I think there's artists out there who have got the metrics who might not be making the money, and there's artists out there who have not got the metrics but are making the money. And I think it's really easy for us to see Spotify numbers or Instagram followers or TikTok followers or whatever it is and go like they've made it. I don't think it's as simple as that. And I think we're talking about money, I need to keep coming back to that, but I think talking about success is whatever you perceive success to be,
it's all
right?
perception based.
And streaming on its own doesn't actually make a lot of money
unless you're streaming millions each month, in which case you'll be good.
Sure. Okay.
But also, that's also like, I've worked with artists who made a lot of money, but it wasn't enough for their standard of life, perhaps. Like, people have different standards that they want to get to as well.
So to crack open this whole money thing, what are the different ways which music makes money? So we've already actually kind of lent onto this a little bit, which is like, everyone's making money but in slightly different ways.
Yeah.
And it's not always tied to like having a big like sort of pop star profile. So what are the different ways which artists and sort of different music industry people exploit different things for revenue? What are those sort of key ways? And maybe tie it to your job, the jobs that you have. So as an artist or as a manager, sort of where's the income coming from?
I can just speak personally. So majority of my income comes from royalties, from songwriting, and from featuring as an artist, as a vocalist. I think that varies quarter to quarter, so I do have to do a lot of like financial management of not getting too excited if one quarter is really good, because I never know, the next quarter could be like feast or famine. So I just try and give myself a salary from that, and try and do forecasting. If it looks like a few quarters were lower, then I have to reduce my salary, if that makes sense. At the same time, I DJ, but that's a total hobby, but that accidentally does bring in a nice bit of income sometimes as well. And I have done some music for sync. I've had some sync placements, so my song's been put in adverts, and every few months they might want to extend the license on that. So it may have been for 12 months, and they go, actually, we want it for another 6.
How does that make money?
So yeah, basically, the music agency would get in touch and say, this brand wants to use this song in these territories for this amount of time, in TV, social media, etc. blah blah, and you tell them how much that would be, and they ask it to be less, and then you go, I want more, and then when that gets confirmed, so basically then you make royalties from that through collection societies, from being a performer on it and writing on it, but you also your fee, your license fees, because you're lending the song to them for their commercial exploitation for a certain period of time. That has treated me very well the last couple of years. I've been quite lucky with a sync placement with Laura, and also I've had another couple of ads that have come in that luckily they've picked up, they've extended the terms a bit longer. So yeah, it feels weird. It's like previous you is looking after current you. Like royalties are kind of weird in that way, because part of you feels like, did I deserve this? Like that song took me 3 hours to make or whatever. Or the vocal I did on that Laura track literally took me 10 minutes.
Don't tell me that.
And I made a good amount of money from it. But then, it's like it took a lifetime of vocaling and songwriting, blah, blah, to do that in 10 minutes to go, I think that's quite good, I'll send that over. So it kind of, if I added up all the money I've made for music and all the hours I put in, it would definitely be less than minimum wage. Yeah.
Cool. And Dan, how does money work as a manager? Where's that money coming?
So a manager typically gets 20% of commission on what an artist makes. However, I think that's all changing because of how much a manager's role is in an artist's career. And I think a lot of managers are seeing themselves as partners. And I think that depending on the roles that they take, like I was talking earlier about, you're doing social media or audience engagement or like running the business. I think if you're doing activities that you would normally use an external agency for and pay for those services, I think the manager will start to command either a separate fee for that, or a high percentage. I think that's what we're going to start to see. But a report from the MMF also came out saying that half of managers earn from commission like that, and half of managers earn from essentially getting a rate for either an hourly rate or a monthly rate, and I've done both, and more managers are kind of doing what I'm starting to do as well, which are consultancy packages as well, to work with artists but not necessarily on full-time basis, kind of a manager packet. So there's many different ways of earning it, and then there's also many different ways that your clients can earn it. So for instance, the artists that I work with, taking commission from their all their activities, so live and sync and royalties. We look a lot with Laura, for instance, on sync and publishing deals and kind of activities like that, as well as kind of royalties as well, like you do. Like it's interesting.
Can you break open the term royalties very quickly?
So royalties, so I'm specifically talking about master royalties here. So royalties that the record label would accrue and then send through a share to the artist. What's interesting about that is, like you're saying, the majority of royalties are coming from catalogue that's been released like 18 months prior and beyond. That seems to be where the money is coming from, and that seems to be quite steady. Those are the ones that are not losing their plays. Tracks that seem to be in people's playlists that they kind of reference and go back to all the time seem to be, at this moment in time, I'm sure it could change, seem to be kind of quite steady. But then the studio personnel that I manage, they charge fees for their services, so I get a percentage of that, but it's a bit more easy to kind of plan and predict, and my job is to kind of help fill their calendar with jobs basically over the next year. So for instance, me and Laura, we plan like 18 months ahead to release stuff, but we have no idea what type of money that's going to make. But with the studio personnel, we've got a fee that they charge for that particular role. It's very easy for us to plan and say, this is what we've got coming up.
So that's in contrast to, Kim, what you were talking about, where it's like you sort of have to botch a salary, sort of like, I think it's going to do okay, so I'm going to say I'm probably going to make this much of these quarters. And quarters, by quarters we mean like financial quarters, right? So sections of the year.
And I try and be, it's hard, I try and be as conservative as possible, but with a catalogue piece of material, you have to assume that there's going to be like a 15% decrease on the year before, just because the longer a song's out sometimes, I guess, so I just imagine it will be played less, but I always want to be pleasantly surprised if it increases and not be like, I've already bought a new car. But yeah, it's a juggling act. But I think more education on how to manage your finances as a musician would be really helpful for me.
Sure, cash flow. That's the next talk.
Cash, yes.
For any small business.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting thing that I don't hear much about, but as an artist, especially if you're looking for managers or looking for partners or to collaborate with people, you kind of got to see yourself as a business, because you are like, and there's no that doesn't detract from you being creative or an artist, but it is the music business. Did you just turn your back on me?
I did. I really wanted to change position. I didn't mean to move away from you. I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just going to do this.
Sorry for making you really uncomfortable now.
Okay. I guess, where does that lead me to? There's a few questions I could sort of like jump on that. I'm between opening a can of worms or doing something that's fairly sort of like straightforward, potentially dry. So
can you ask the audience?
Do we want to know what their relationship is to music streaming, or do we want to know other ways which they make money from music that aren't just from royalties? Number 2. Yeah.
How we make money from.
Yeah, so I guess, on my list, which I definitely don't have, this is all coming from my brain.
My brain.
My brain. It would be ticket sales, stuff like that. Sort of the importance, maybe like getting into the importance of like selling tickets these days. Not to tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like ticket sales or merchandising, because streaming isn't always, like you're saying, like it's a little bit of like, if you've got something that's doing really well, that's kind of great and you can sort of take a cut from that. But sort of other strategies that, as an artist or sort of someone who's looking after an artist, you might sort of deploy to sort of bring in a bit more reliability or just diversify those income streams as an artist. Other ways to exploit your artist brand, essentially.
It always makes me think, sorry to jump in.
I didn't say anything.
No.
Let's turn our backs to it.
Shame!
It always makes me think of an artist called Lethal Bizzle when we talk about stuff like this, because I saw a talk with him once, and I was just taken aback. I was amazed at how he set up his career. It's brilliant. He definitely saw it as a business, because not like
Lethal
Bizzle.
Yeah, business.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Planned.
I've never thought of that. Of course.
Yeah.
This guy.
Business.
It was there the whole time.
But he basically used music as sort of a marketing tool for his merch. So like he was a musician and an artist, but he made more money from merch, and him releasing music was like a campaign around the merchandise that he did. And I think a lot of artists are kind of looking at that and kind of emulating that. And there's also kind of Patreon and other kind of subscription services, even Substack, where like if you've got a core fan base, you can kind of generate small amounts of income from, you know, a lot of different people, and kind of build that up to kind of supplement your artist career. Those are two things that came to mind.
Yeah.
But do you want them to be about us, or
It can be just anything that brings to mind.
Okay.
I mean, Kim, it looks like you had
yeah?
are having a big thought.
Having
Right
so
now.
many big thoughts and feelings. Where to begin? I completely agree with everything Dan just said.
Yes.
But I think in trying to bring some creative and emotional to it, not saying Lethal Bizzle isn't creative and emotional in their business accolades, but I think my advice to myself and to other artists is to try and think of it about creating a world and creating experiential opportunities to connect with audiences, and that may be, if you think of like what the core themes are of your music. The core themes of my new music is very much about self-exploration. I've been doing a lot of work on myself. I've been doing lots of like healing of stuff like from childhood. Just like it's very much like I don't have all the answers. I'm still living a very messy life, but I'm trying to work my shit out basically. So that's going to attract people who resonate with that. And what's the extension of that? Like, how can I, instead of just like, hey, do you want to come to my show and watch me hear these songs? And I think when people come and connect with your music, it's really easy to fall into people love me, but what they actually love and connect with is the way your music makes them feel. It's all about them. And that's why I love like social media content where like it's mainly like watching the crowd's reactions and responses to people's music. And I was like, that, I know this sounds contrived now, but like, that is where the value is in what you're doing. And we're not in control of the fact that nobody wants to pay £10 for an album anymore, like either physically or downloads. We're not in control of the fact that, you know, Spotify doesn't even like care if like to pay you for your streams on 1,000 likes. I'm not in control of any of that. But yeah, I am in control of using music as a way to connect and brand, like, you know, get my brand out there, whatever. But there are ways that I can do events that might have like certain workshops on like well-being, or like certain, like I could create, you know, a brand or a product, like whether that be, I don't know, some kind of tea that helps you sleep because I have ADHD and I really struggle with rest, and like, this has really helped me, blah, blah, blah. Like other people will relate to your story, and there are products and experiences, not just products. So merch is like a really good thing, but I think there's all kinds of people who are like, you know, some artists are doing like, do you want to come and have dinner with me? Like, I know that sounds weird, but it's like
Gorillas did the exhibition.
Yeah, like a banquet. Like I could put on like a huge dinner party where I'll perform for people, and then like, yeah, there'll be like a set menu of like food that I've curated. So I'm creating an experience for that whole evening. So it's not just like they're coming to listen to the music, but they're coming to find out what my, you know, favorite wine is paired with that, or like maybe it's a whole vegan thing and there's no alcohol and it's all really healthy. Like I can create these experiences that are an extension. If you think of like your music as like best served driving down a highway, like blaring at like full volume, but you just think what activities or items or things pair well with the lifestyle of your music, and that's what you can create. Like some people are doing awesome stuff with technology, NFTs, or not that we don't really talk NFTs anymore, but they're like doing like, you know, mixed reality stuff with their like really electronic. Like I think there's so many ways that we can just create a huge world for music.
Wow,
Yeah,
I
like
think
immersive.
you've just taken that to the next level. I love what you just said. I think that's made it really real and like help people understand that like there's so many different ways to put a monetary value to your art form, and to connect it and make a world and a brand and an understanding for people to buy into. That's really what you're trying to do. And that could be in so many different ways, as you're saying, an experience, or like a physical product, or like a live experience, or just listening at home. Or
But I totally understand if you're creative and you're like, I don't want to do that. I totally understand if you're like, I want to make the song, I want to perform the song and put it out, and that's it. I don't want to have to create a whole world, a brand. Like I totally get it, but this is where I think we're at, and the artists who are excited by that will do really well.
I think some artists can't even control that, like it just comes out of them naturally. I think some artists really think about the world, and then some of them like the world they're making, and some of them just by virtue of making like that process will happen anyway. and it's sort of the world is that they just assert their artistic integrity.
So I would like to ask a question. So like the person that comes to mind first and foremost is Charlie XCX. Like I feel like she's very good at creating those worlds and like developing like the whole kind of live experience and everything, and getting her audience to not only buy into what she's doing but participate.
Yeah.
But I find often at these sort of talks, we often talk about the big artists that are doing that. Do you know of any smaller acts that are sort of doing that people can be inspired by?
Smaller acts who are doing... Do you know what I see? What I see is a little bit of a parallel, basically I see a lot of influencers doing it really well, and that's where I think musicians could learn a lot from. So there's people who've built up their following on TikTok or Instagram, blah, blah, and now they're doing like, I'm not saying this for musicians, but they're doing like they're designing like a holiday, and like you like basically come on holiday with me, and like they design these holidays, and you know, I feel like there's a lot influencers have done very well. I think there's a lot we can learn from that industry, but it takes musicians accepting that we are a business. Yeah. And there is a commercial aspect of it, and a lot of us are very focused on appearing cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think historically an artist has had like a sort of persona, right, like and they're a character. But
I think that is, and like this could completely change. But I think with AI, with AI, I think you have to be more human.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be really raw and more human, and because that's what AI can't compete with.
Yeah.
AI can't show up and be like me today. I've hardly slept last night. I'm probably like babbling way too, I'm neurodiversing like left and right center, but I'm just like, I'm here and some transparent stuff's coming out, but I'm doing it imperfecly. I just turned away from
AI would
creative
never,
partners
AI
here.
would never reject
AI would be like, hey Dan, I'm loving everything you're saying.
So great.
But I mean, the realness and the humanness and the raw element is what's gonna hopefully make human content a desirable speciality in future. Once we flood everything with AI and we're all over the fact that I can ask any question, it just tells me whatever I want. When we get over that bit, and we've gotten over like, oh my god, it sounds like a real musician. And then at one point we're like, oh, it sounds like a real musician. I really miss a real musician. I really miss seeing someone like Kim overshare and embarrass herself on stage. So I feel like we've got a little phase of flooding of AI to come. And the real artists need to be ready with this like business package to be like, hey, here's what being human is again. Do we all remember that? Are you ready to like, let's do this? Yeah. I think we just all have to trust that being more open in ourselves. I think the mystique for many people, I don't think it's going to fly anymore.
Interesting.
But with protection, like put out what you're comfortable with boundaries, of course. But and with anything, that stuff is still a persona. Like what we post on, it's all edited. Like it's all an extension of it. So I encourage people to protect themselves in that, to be responsible in that. But I think we're all just going to have to get over ourselves a little bit and just be like, I don't have all the fucking answers, and here's where I'm at. And hopefully people resonate with that.
That's definitely our approach.
That's our approach. Yeah. Just show up messy and hope other people will help you.
Nice.
Help.
Right, cool. We haven't got super long left.
Okay.
If anything, we should be in the Q&A section at this point.
Okay.
16 minutes ago.
Oh, right. Wow.
Whoa.
It's because we took a longer break. So I wonder, do people want a Q&A now, or do they want to know about what you think about music streaming, actually?
I think we might have said...
Yeah, you kind of covered it. Yeah, I was going to ask about job hunting, but you've kind of gone over it and basically just said you make your own jobs.
Maybe. That's what I've certainly done. I think you've done to a certain extent. I think there are traditional ways of doing it. I think... Yeah, in terms of job hunting, it's challenging, but like I think you've got to go after stuff, put a decent CV together, decent covering letter, talking about AI, like I don't think there's any harm in using AI to help you.
Yeah.
Help, not do it for you. When writing things or checking things, and just make sure that you just don't have that big dash from ChatGPT, and like you put things in your own words as well, and you kind of feed it. But yeah, job hunting is important to do. It's important to go for those interviews. I've honestly never had an interview in my life. In my jobs that I got, I did recently go for a job interview, and I got through to stage, I think it was 3, and then I realised it was not the right job for me, and I wanted to take a different path. But it was interesting going through the interview process, because I've been on the other side. I've interviewed people for jobs, but I've never been interviewed. And I think if you, just like with anything, if you are looking to get a career in music, I would go and apply for jobs and try and get interviews, and even if it's not exactly right, it might be. Just go through the process. Try things out.
Yeah, I think keep telling people, just keep saying out loud what you're into and what you want to do. And sometimes, sometimes you can like create your own roles, or people will just keep you in the back of their mind, and then literally in a year's time you'll just get an email from them like, hey, are you still into this? You still into this thing? I think telling as many people as you can who you are, what like drives you, what's your why are you in music, and then people just like really generously consider you for stuff and opportunities when it comes up. Like, and so many times people have messaged me like, hey, do you want a job in this thing? And I'm like, no, but I'm so surprised, shocked and honoured that you would think that I could do a job like that. Thank you so much. I'm like, yeah, I think just being really open with people about, I know it sounds cheesy, but like your ambitions and your dreams, and people kind of naturally want to help you get there.
Show up and demonstrate that you can do it.
That's what I wanted to say.
Show up, demonstrate.
Yeah.
Show up and demonstrate.
Sick. Merch writes itself. Okay, I think we'll jump into Q&A.
Yeah, let's do it.
People like wanting to throw out a question, I can get us started. There's some hands. Yeah, I'll start from right to left.
I was wondering, from your perspective, what is the best piece of advice you could give grassroots musicians to get themselves started?
Show up and demonstrate. But I mean, in a way, why not? Like, it's like you need to demonstrate your that you've got an understanding of like what your sort of brand is, so what you're trying to get people to buy into, and kind of involve themselves and engage with. Demonstrate, show, like put it all together and actually do it. You know, don't just kind of sit there and wait for something to happen. And get a really good understanding of the music industry, because you need to, like we're talking about, like you need to understand that there's so many different revenue streams that you can make money from. What is it that where's your strength in that? And like it might be something that you've never even thought about before, but that revenue stream that you might get from that side of the industry might allow you to realize your real ambition, which is, you know, your creative project. So I think the music industry changes so much. Keep up with industry news all the time. You don't need to like master it, but you just need to have a clear understanding, because people, when you start talking to people, like Kim was saying, and show up and telling people that you're doing this and telling people you need help, these words and terms and other artists and stuff like that will be thrown around, and you need to know what you're talking about in a way. I think from
really
my
good
side.
advice. I would say not to underestimate the power of relationships, like relationship building, and people in, I guess, positions that people you want to network with, say, who have things or access to things that you may want to network with them for, are very used to people coming to them asking for things. And I think there's a music creative coach called Harriet JW who gave me some really good advice once, and she said, ask for money and you'll get advice, ask for advice and you'll get money. And how I think that relates to networking in the music industry is, if you say as a label A&R, you know, instead of like opening with, hey, here's my music. Do you want to sign me? Come over a meeting when you're talking about signing me. It's really nice to just say something. Hey, I love what's going on with your label. I really love what XXX artist is doing. Like, well done, congratulations to the whole team. I'm in the sort of, you know, a bit earlier on stage than that kind of artist. If you, like, here's some of my music. If you would be generous enough to have, like, any advice from me anytime, like, I'd love to buy you a coffee or buy you lunch, or just be like, you know, talk to them like they're a new, you know, friend or a new person you generally want to connect with, and you're admiring their curation, their taste, their A&Ring with who and their work, rather than being like, hey, what can you do for me? Because actually, you know, I think there could be a good exchange there. Like, you could get in touch and they could be like, actually, we were looking for a new support act for a tour. We were looking for somebody to do some cool remixes, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, so stuff can happen naturally, but I think not always leading with, like, the hard sell with people, and just, like, relationship building, even if it's just more subtle, and then you, like, stay in touch over socials and you like each other's posts, and then 3 years later they're like, bam, like, I want to work with you. Like, sometimes that's the journey it can take. So I think knowing, like, being nuanced, and there's a difference between being hungry and being annoying.
You don't want a badger.
No, and at some points I have under badgered. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. So it is a balance, a real balancing act. So sometimes I haven't quite gone for it when I should have. But I think just thinking about how you go about making a new friend, I think, is how you go about making new networks. So sometimes you don't meet someone straight away and be like, oh my God, be my best friend, which is actually what I said the first time I met you both. But yeah, just relationship building and pacing, like the natural organic growth of connections is really important, I think.
The Under Badger is an amazing pro wrestler.
Under Badger.
But it's real. Like, I think I was on a panel with someone once who was like, a lot of the people that you might be getting in touch with in the industry are very busy, and like they will miss your email, or they will forget about it. Yeah. So there's no harm in politely following up, maybe after a week, a couple of weeks, you know, like, and then if you don't hear them, maybe not. Like, although I did work with someone once who had a theory that, like, you had to kind of contact someone 12 times before they did something. I think that's like...
Oh my God.
Or probably put in a restraining order.
I'd block them. I'd be like, go away.
So, yeah. I think maybe just to pull on that a little bit, if I may, maybe it's like a little bit about understanding the value that you bring to anything. As an artist, like, why does a promoter want you to play for them? Like, what is the exchange there? Yeah. I think there's a little bit of, like, you have everything to give me and I'm this empty receptacle that absorbs the thing that you give me. Whereas actually it's symbiotic, not parasitic. You know, it's you are giving each other something, they are investing in you as a thing by doing that. And I think, you know, that requires that little bit of industry knowledge to know, you know, why does the radio exist? Why do they need to play music? Like, why do they want my music? And then you can pitch around a little bit of, like, the magic of, like, your art, but just knowing why they even, like, the thing that they get out of you, you know. We were talking to Casey Dale from BBC Introducing, and you know, he was just talking about, like, you know, the radio doesn't exist unless we have a healthy supply of artists with which to play music, you know. No music on a dead planet type stuff. Like, you know, you have something to give them. It's not always just a case of extracting someone else's value. And just understanding the basic economics of music. I think there's a lot... People seem to be very defeated up front. They're like, music doesn't make money, but I'm going to do it anyway. But, like, that's already cut off your ability to understand how value might eventually come out of it. By assuming that there's no money, and, like, you're not even invested when you are, and that there's money's coming out of somewhere. Whenever you do something in music, money's happening somewhere around you. You know, even with, like, the magic of royalty collection in venues mystifies me. Like, when a song is playing in B&M, like, money is happening. That's crazy, right? Like, someone's getting paid a royalty unless it's royalty.
I have a depressing story about that for another panel.
Yeah. Cool. I can go on the liner notes. But, like, you know, that, like, value comes out of everywhere, like all the time. Like by writing a song, you've got copyright immediately, which you can exploit later. But like, you know, that there, you have value inherently. Whether that's not, if that's not coming in straight away, it will at some point, and that other people need you.
It's a really important point about registrations. Make sure you are
Register.
registering your music. Make sure that you are registering yourself as a performer, as a rights holder, as a songwriter, and make sure that you get your metadata right and correct, and just so that you do have revenue streams and you have the ability. You know, if you are gonna, I'd really recommend BBC Introducing. I think it's the launch pad for so many careers. But if you're going to be played on the radio, then there's payments due to you for being played. But if you're not registered on PPL, you're not going to get any money. So it's like, make sure those registrations are set up properly.
And we can help you with that later. Cool. Saw other hands around the room. Another question? Yeah, Tom?
I used to decide what question to ask.
I just opened TikTok straight away.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling. So,
You see
as
me
a grassroots artist, so I guess let's use the tiers. Yeah, as a hobbyist artist, and then as a kind of more intermediate artist, what can I do? Let's say I don't have management, I don't really have a team around me, or maybe a couple of people. What can I do to start landing sync? In the basic level, who do I contact? Where do I send that stuff?
Just a quick reminder, sync is when you get stuff played on like,
Is it?
like media
You're a
outlets.
publisher.
Or
Well,
to
you
sync to other
worked
stuff,
in-
so like in film. Adverts.
Because
So-
you don't have a publisher,
the
then
like.
had you?
So you need to get to know music supervisors and the world of music supervision. They're the ones that will choose the music, or at least put together a short list of music for the end user. So that could be, you know, film or TV show, it could be a brand for an advert, it could be a game, to then license and use. So supervisors will often be associated with certain genres or certain parts of that. So certain supervisors are just on TV, or certain supervisors are just on film or just on adverts. If you can get to know who they're working with, who the clients are that they're working with, and the style that they're working with, then you've got a reason to try and reach out to them and be like, my music fits with the stuff that you're doing, and I really love what, as Kim was saying, butter them up a little bit, stroke their ego, and just be nice to them and say, here's some music that I think you might appreciate because you seem to be using stuff in this vein. Make sure that when you send them stuff, it's a very short email with a link to downloadable music, that the music is clearly labelled with your name, your artist name, and the track title. If possible, make sure that you've got all your metadata understood, all the shares of your music understood as well. You might not need to tell them straight away, but you can just, if for instance you're the only songwriter and musician artist on it, you can, and you're releasing it yourself, you can say 100% of both sides, both the publishing and the master sides, are owned by me. Therefore, it's very easy for you to clear and license, and that will be a dream for the music supervisor. But do your research and make sure that you're kind of, you know who you're sending your music to and it's relevant to them. And if you find that step a little bit too daunting, then you can always look for sync agents, who they will represent labels and publishers and songwriters and rights holders, and deliver that music, the correct music, to supervisors to then use. So there's different tiers, and obviously if you're with a label or a publisher, encourage them to search for sync, because I'm gobsmacked by the amount of record labels especially, and some publishers as well, who just don't have a business in sync. This encourage them to look for partners like sync agents and send stuff to music supervisors. Look at kind of AIM, the Association of Independent Music, are very good at kind of running sync conferences and stuff like that, and we'll introduce you to these people in that industry.
On a practical level, if you're watching a TV show and you're like, I love this piece of music with this scene, look up who did the music supervision, what music agency worked on that project or that film. Then do some digging on LinkedIn, message that person, be like, I loved that placement. Like, so yeah, there's sync social stuff, but if you're not like a complete like extrovert, like if like socializing and those big, because those events are amazing. And I cope well with them, but like, oh my god, sorry, I turned this off. But it's my mum. I just, my do not disturb is on, but obviously my mum can call anyway. That's fine. So if that's not your style of networking, you can like see placements that you like on TV, film, blah blah, ads, and search to find the music supervision company. On LinkedIn, you'll probably, if you find the company, you'll probably see the person from that company who did that placement like celebrate it, and then just reach out to them. So that's a good way of like networking online as well, and just saying like, hey, if you're looking for anything else, here's my stuff.
And internet search engines in general, just by putting like music supervisors or music supervision in there. Look at award shows as well, for like there are awards for music supervision and sync. Look at that, see who's won awards, see why they've won awards, and kind of reference that when you're messaging them as well. Like,
Cool.
Does that answer your question, Tom? Thumbs up from the man at the back.
I would so look up the music supervisor for Skins. Their
Yeah.
music was so good. It's crazy. And there was like 5 songs every 10 minutes. It's crazy.
Yeah.
One more question, and then we'll wrap up. If there's no more questions, we can wrap up now. Or
I've got another one. Pretty cool, another one.
Go for it.
Not that person again.
You didn't say that in your head.
Oh.
Some weirdo from Dungeness here.
What are some good investments outside of recording an artist can make to kind of invest in making money in the future? And maybe at different levels, like as an intermediate artist versus as a sort of moderate artist. What some good investments to make? Let's say that you've made some money from your music.
Or like Bitcoin or something.
End of talk.
Yeah.
It's a good question. What to invest in? What to reinvest?
Yeah, into yourself, not like stocks. So.
I think mentorship or consultancy. I think everybody should always have a guiding accountability person. I think having some professional development with somebody who's where you want to be is invaluable. So self-improvement, self-education is something that will never depreciate in value in your life. That would be my advice.
I love that. I'd join that. I think it's really important, and it's quite challenging to find people, or at least ask for that. But I feel very fortunate that I had a few people very early on in my career who took me under their wing and were keen to support me for some weird reason, and just like kind of sit down and talk to me. I think like self-improvement, or just kind of validating as well, or being told you're on the wrong path, mate, or whatever it is. But yeah, I think investing in relationships. But do you mean like money, like investing in equipment, or like investing in?
I kind of want to stray away from equipment, more sort of. So yeah, this is
like
good.
Teams and stuff like that. Like, is it worth paying for PR? Or is that what you're?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I'm conflicted about PR.
Yeah.
I think PR and paid advertising is good to fan the flames of a fire that's already burning well. I think doing lots of stuff organically, and then at the right point, if you're like things are kicking off, and then you get a radio plugger, and then you get PR, and then you start paying for social ads and stuff, then you're like, cool, what you have is valuable, and you just want to multiply that. I think at the beginning, when people throw money when their project hasn't really built much traction yet, you're still in the process of evaluation, reiteration. So like get the formula right, and then like explode that, if that makes sense. So I think knowing the right time to do that is a difficult decision, but I think you'll know when you do it too early because you'll be like, I paid thousands and got nothing, because people aren't invested yet, and they're not going to be because you paid someone to ask them to be necessarily. In my opinion.
No, but yeah, this whole thing was
This
just
whole
our
thing,
opinion.
everything I say is my opinion, or AI. I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah. Whereas I am the objective one on the stage, and everything I say is true. Cool. Okay. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Great
Thank
question.
you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.